Alright, hello all. Tonight I'd like to talk about copyright laws and freedom of information. I talk about copyright laws because copyright laws are a cornerstone of our society. Copyright laws were created in the founding elements of our society. Copyright laws are what encourages and rewards and protects inventors, writers, and political entities, along with entertainment and media and their products. It also protects drug makers, the prescription drug makers, along with numerous other things. Now, copyrights are essential for protecting those things, but as our founders noted, there has to be a point where that information, not the form of it, but the information, becomes accessible to the general public. This is where I take some issue with the founders and the issue of form becoming accessible to the general public. You see, the second issue that links in with copyright is freedom of information. Information, ideas, stories and movies, inventions and discoveries at some point have to be accessible to the general public. Outside of national security issues, which I believe should be fairly limited in its use. If somebody produces something, yet some piece of technology or information that is not essential to our national defense, and then refuses to release it to the general public. Let's say a pharmacist creates a drug that can cure cancer, but then decides he's not going to produce any of it. Or somebody creates a movie and then decides, well, I'm not going to release it now. I've released it once, I'm not going to release it ever again. Or any number of other options. You essentially stifle the general public's access to that information. You essentially ghost the information. It doesn't exist anymore. Now, I have a problem with that because a lot of times that ends up being a form of censorship. It's self-imposed. For example, Song of the South of Disney. You can't buy it anywhere. You can't get it anywhere. But it's part of our American heritage. It has been effectively silenced because the owners of the copyright, Walt Disney Company, have they've held it far longer than the traditional limits of copyright laws were. But two, they've decided that it was not politically correct enough to be released because it deals with issues of race. That has racial depictions in it that are, quote, offensive to one group of people or whatever. But it's also part of our American heritage, as along with a lot of other films that were produced during that same time, all the blackface films, etc. There's a big problem when society starts erasing information that it deems unworthy to exist. Even if it's a self-imposed erasing, it creates a false sense of history, a delusion. And I do not believe in a democracy. We fare best when we're deluding ourselves, when opposing views or views we deemed to be failures or unacceptable are erased from public view. Even if the owners of those views have chosen not to release the films anymore. What I would propose, and why did that basically create censorship? Now this is my proposal to fix the problem. My proposal is this: that any company, any movie producer, any writer, any scientist, inventor, whatever, who creates an idea or a movie or book or a song and releases it at least once. They have to have released it at least once, or announced publicly on a large scale its existence at least once, has to make that object or item available to the public for sale in one form or another. In this day and age of easy media duplication, I don't see a reason why they can't do that. They can set the price. The price has to be reasonable. It can't be $1 billion for a sheet of paper. It has to be a reasonable price so that the general public can access it for a fee. This will, one, decrease the chance that the public will do piracy to get a hold of the information they want to get a hold of, because the owner of the information refuses to release it anymore. That would decrease that criminal element of society. And two, it would make it so that the society does not become censored itself. That you don't have political forces that can censor parts of society or parts of our history because one person doesn't like what another person said or did or didn't like a certain part of our history. Our history is our history, and if we're going to be reasonable about it, we have to understand it in its fullness, not just what is currently the fads. Anyways, that's my view on censorship and copyright laws and freedom of information to the public. I thank you very much and hope you have a good day, and God bless.